This 17 News at Noon podcast is brought to you by Clinica Sierra Vista.
Welcome back to the 17 News at Noon podcast, where we share your news on your schedule.
Good Thursday afternoon. Welcome into 17 News at Noon. I'm Tully Anderson in for Elena Rusk. And we have sad news to report this afternoon as soccer legend Pele has passed away at the age of 82 years old. He has been in and out of the hospital over the past year as he fought colon cancer. Pele was a three-time world champion and a Brazilian soccer star. Brazil has planned a 48-hour of national mourning. That is where he played club soccer from 1956 to 1974. A Kern County judge gave a tentative ruling today that the state should pay attorney's fees for Tastries Bakery owner Cathy Miller, but a final decision won't be made until the matter is argued in late February. Charles S. Lamondry, one of the several attorneys who represented Miller, said they are submitting $1.9 million in legal fees, having billed roughly 2,600 hours since taking the case on 5 years ago. Miller was sued in 2017 after refusing to bake a wedding cake for a lesbian couple. Back in October, the judge ruled Miller cannot be forced to bake a wedding cake for same-sex couples. Lamondry says the case may go up on appeal. Two men are in custody after the Bakersfield Police Department discovered a chop shop yesterday morning on Earlin Court in South Bakersfield. Now, police found 3 stolen vehicles, a stolen trailer, multiple apparent stolen catalytic converters, and additional stolen license plates. Officers arrested Jonathan Cotilla Pena of Bakersfield, who is currently on probation, for 3 counts of stolen vehicle possession and operating a chop shop, among many other charges. Police also arrested Michael Sprenger of Bakersfield, who was on active post-release community supervision for 3 counts of stolen vehicle possession and operating a chop shop, among other charges too. This is Cotilla Pena's 3rd arrest for auto theft related charges since October and Springer's 4th since September. Anyone with information is asked to call BPD at 327-7111.
Hello, this is Tim Callahan with Clinica Sierra Vista, and we're excited to unveil the Community Health Center of the Future, our comprehensive care center. It's located right across the street from Memorial Hospital. We have every service under one roof, from family medicine, OBGYN care, dental services for adults and children, behavioral health, and much more. So find your way to better care at Clinica Sierra Vista this year at our comprehensive care center. Visit our website, clinicasierravista.org, for the latest on this project. We'll see you soon.
It has now been almost 1 year since Russia invaded Ukraine. Russian forces continue to fire missiles on the southern city of Kherson in Ukraine, while the front line appears to be somewhat static despite intense fighting. NBC's Matt Bradley reports from Kyiv, Ukraine, and has the latest on this conflict.
Well, the southern city of Kherson has endured relentless bombing over the past week. Just overnight, there was about 24 Russian projectiles launched at the city. This comes after dozens more hit the city earlier this week. Now, this is a city that only 6 weeks ago was liberated by the Ukrainians, and it was one of the only real major cities that Russia was able to occupy throughout its offensive that started in late January. The Russians essentially walked away from the city after facing pressure from the Ukrainians all around it. And from what we understand, the Russians repositioned their forces in the eastern city, or around the eastern city of Bakhmut, and that's on the fringes of the Donbass region. Bakhmut, despite all of the attacks in Kherson, Bakhmut has really become the heart of the most fiercest fighting in this war over the past several weeks. This has been 5 months of battle in Bakhmut. It's one of the longest battles of this entire war, and that's a city where there really is not that much else to destroy. It's just relentless back and forth. The Ukrainians have been ceding some ground to the Russians there over the past several days, but very little. The Russians have only made modest advances there. But from what we understand, a little bit north of Bakhmut, the Ukrainians have been circling around the city of Kreminna. We thought a couple of days ago that they might have actually taken Kreminna, but it turns out that they're just within striking distance of that city. But we got to remember, in this part of the country, the fighting has been relentless, very fierce. There's been a lot of casualties, and yet the battle lines haven't really shifted at all. And that's why President Zelensky and others here in the Ukrainian government really do believe that this war needs a game changer. As this city and parts of the country are really suffering from power outages thanks to Russia's relentless bombardment of electricity infrastructure for the past several weeks and months. That's why when President Zelensky was just recently in Washington, he got a lot of the stuff on his Christmas list then, including those Patriot missile systems, but he's going to be asking for more, again, because the front lines in this conflict remain almost completely static. But if more weapons do come to bear, then that could mean a game changer. And a lot of Russians, Vladimir Putin, might believe that he has more cards to play in the form of recently mobilized soldiers. But right now, the battle lines are almost completely frozen. Matt Bradley, NBC News, Kyiv, Ukraine.
Preparation continues as we head into New Year's Eve. New York City is one to always put on a huge event. And we mentioned yesterday in our newscast that the Crystal Ball was getting shined up for the big event. But today, in the Big Apple, a confetti testing event took place. Times Square prepares to host their annual New Year's Eve celebration. And this will be the first year since 2020 with no COVID-19 restrictions, while roughly 3,000 pounds of confetti will rain down to help bring in 2023. And sticking with the New Year plans, after New Year's Eve, often many tune in for the Rose Parade. The 134th Rose Parade is less than a week away, and that means it's crunch time for those to get the massive floats ready. It's all hands on deck as flowers were delivered just this week. It's an expensive undertaking as the average cost of a corporate float is about $350,000. Smaller ones will cost you $40,000, and high inflation is forcing builders to get very creative. The price of materials has also increased 40%, so designers are reusing natural materials from previous floats. And something to note here, the parade is actually on Monday, January 2nd, because tradition is the Rose Parade is never held on Sunday.
The 17 News at Noon podcast is a production of KGET and Nexstar Media Group. For more on all of the headlines in today's show, head to kget.com.